Hey, good evening, guys. This is Mark here at JTech, and tonight what we're going to do is take the oil pump through a few basic checks to make sure that it's in good shape and all the clearances meet within factory specifications. The engine we're going to use today is going to be a 5.7 liter Hemi out of a 2004 Dodge pickup. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tilt the camera down. You'll be able to hear me, but you won't be able to see me. But I'm kind of show you where I'm working at. And this is where we're at, is right there. Okay. This is the oil pump we're going to take off, and we're going to do the measurements and the specifications on. So if you bear with me, I'm going to get ready to pull it off. I've already got it loose, so it won't take too long. As you can see, the front of the engine's already been dismantled. We've been working on this engine for a little bit, but today is one of the videos that I'd like to do with the oil pump. So if you'll bear with me. All right, and now we have it loose. So again, this is the back of the oil pump. As you can see, there's some Torx head bolts in the back. Again, this is the front of the oil pump. And as you can see, these are the oil passageway in the pump right there. So as we begin to do this, we also had our pickup tube, which is right here on the bottom of the oil pump that went to the oil pan. So just to give you an idea what I'm working on. All right, I'm going to stick you on hold for a minute till I get set up here on the bench, and then we'll proceed. Okay, welcome back, guys. Again, we're getting ready to start with our video here of dismantling the oil pump. So I'm going to tilt you down here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. All right, and this is what we're going to do. Like I said, we have 2, 4, 6, 7 Torx head bolts that we're going to take loose on the back of this oil pump so that we can take it apart and measure up to our clearances. All right. And keep all these bolts do have a specification that they're tightened to, but as I said earlier, I've already had it apart as far as loose, the nuts and stuff loose, so we did have to hammer on them a little bit, so it'll go fairly quick if it's forced that way. And all right, and now I have the bolts out. I'm removing the rear cover off of the oil pump. That's the rear cover. All right, and I'll set him down. And this is the internal and external rotor for the pump. And I'm going to get some feeler gauges, and we're going to turn around and check these clearances to make sure that they meet manufacturer specifications. So that's pretty much it for right now. And I'll be right back with you as soon as I get my feeler gauge. Okay, guys, welcome back again. All right, I've got my feeler gauges in hand, and I've looked up on the specifications for this particular oil pump, and it should be between 1 and 2 thousandths clearance between the inner and outer rotor, the outer rotor, and the oil pump case. So we will find out where we stand. All right, the best way to go about this is to take your feeler gauge and to run your feeler gauge in at an angle. You run it in at an angle, it feeds through rather nicely. This one here is a little small, that's 2 thousandths. And we're going to go to 25, 2.5 thousandths. All right. And we're going to 3 thousandths. And that one there feels real good. So the outside, I'm going to call it 3 thousandths. Okay, the outside is 3 thousandths. And now we're going to check the inside. And what you do here is you feed down your feeler gauge between the inner and outer rotor and kind of lightly turn it so that you can feed it in to see how it does for clearances. It gets to a narrow spot right about in there. And right there is alright, so that is particular one is 3 thousandths. So we're going to step it on up to 4 thousandths and see what we have there. And 4 thousandths seems just about right. So it appears though is 3 thousandths on the outside and 4 thousandths on the inside, which tells me this pump is just a little on the loose side. Not that it won't pump oil, but it is on the broad end of manufacturer specifications. So everything being equal, this pump would be in a good position to be replaced. If I was rebuilding an engine, I would certainly replace it. The next thing we want to do is to take the inner rotor out, and you want to walk around it and make sure that there are no severe scratches or anything that shows like metal or material may have been passed through it. Okay, we're looking on the top and the bottom, and right now I don't see anything on the inner rotor, so I'm going to pull the outer rotor out. We'll check it as well. The outer rotor looks as though it's in pretty decent shape. I'm going to wipe it off here real quick. It looks like it's in good shape. There's nothing on the inner or outer cogs to the inner cogs or the outer shell of the oil pump. Alright, so now I'm going to look at the oil pump itself and look at the housing, see if we have any galling or anything like that. I do not see any galling. I don't see where it's been rubbing abnormally anywhere in particular. And check our pressure relief valve to see how it works. Be right with you. Okay, now I'm back. I'm going to take a small pick and pull this relief valve back to see how it holds. And it seems to be doing good. It moves nice and smooth. There's no problem there. So this relief valve should be all right. So overall, that's pretty much how you evaluate an oil pump. The last thing we have to do is to run a straight edge across to make sure that our clearances are okay on the body as well as the back case. So I don't have a straight edge here today, but had I had a straight edge, what I would do, again, there's a specification for this, and what you would do is lay your straight edge across here, and then you would take a feeler gauge and feel on all the flat areas between the straight edge and the flat area and see how big a gauge you could get between it. Again, the specifications on this is only 2 thousandths. So that's what you'd basically do. You'd have a straight edge on it, hence a straight edge, and you lay this down and you try to get your gauge under in different areas that could possibly give you some clearance. And this one here, if this was an actual legitimate straight edge, you would see no clearance there. Then you go back up, do the same thing on the housing here, and see if you had any clearances up here. And not only on each side, but also from side to side, you'd want to make sure it was all flat and everything was good. But with this being my pseudo straight edge, everything seemed like it was good because that was actually 2 thousandths and it wouldn't penetrate under either of those. So, and I understand that may not have been perfectly flat, but that's what I had to work with for today. So anyway, the next thing you want to do, and I'll show you on your outer rotor, you'll notice that you have little points, little contact points there, they're little divots. There's 3 of those. Okay, those can go in any particular direction on the outer one like it is. just lubricate it well, put it back in, and then on your inner rotor, it has the same divots, and those need to go within the same area, if you will, as the outer divots. And you see here, you got a outer divot, and sorry about that, you have an inner divot, and that's kind of how all three of them line up. Then from there, you would take your pump, you would put it back together, line it up correctly. Again, make sure that you have the pump lubricated with some oil or some type of assembly lube would be fine, whether it's Vaseline or cam lube, anything like that would work fine. So once you have that done, the last thing you want to do then is to go around and tighten all these bolts back up to specification. Specification on these is 30 foot-pounds. So from there, then we turn the rack around and we'd mount the oil pump back on the engine and again tighten it to specification, which is 50 foot-pounds. So there you have it, guys. That's how to check an oil pump, make sure it's working. I said fuel pump. Make sure to check the oil pump, make sure it's working fine. And then this has inner cog gear, as you can see there. These cogs right here, and they line up directly with the crankshaft. So once you get it on, you line it up, and it slips right on, and you bolt her down, you're good to go. Well, I hope that was some help to you, and I appreciate you guys watching, and hope to see you again next time. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye.